Hey, my name is Deborah Winters. Welcome to my YouTube channel, a place where you will hear conversations with ordinary people telling their extraordinary stories. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Their Stories. This is part 2 of Pamela Hawkins' story. Part 1, if you haven't listened to that, just a great story of pain and healing. And there's hope. So we're back today. We're going to hear more. They are missionaries to El Salvador. Yes! I want to put her, always want to put her in a different country, never El Salvador. So yes, welcome back.
Thank you.
So we're going to pick up, your father had died, and just pick up from there.
Yeah, so back when I met my husband, I told that story.
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, no.
Like, share, and subscribe, please. Like, share, subscribe, and you'll get notifications for new stories. And they're posted every Monday. So sorry.
It's good.
Dan.
So when I met my husband, that was right after, about 6 months after I had just surrendered to the Lord, and I said, no more dating, I'm done. Mm-hmm. So we met, we married, and I remember clearly during our courting season, there was a moment we were out in the woods in Oregon. I don't remember, we were on a hike or something.
Were you guys big hikers?
Yeah, we loved being
Yes.
outside and outdoors. He's a hunter, so loved being.
Are you a hunter?
No, I've never gone.
Okay.
He's trained our boys. He's trained our boys.
Women are. Women,
yeah.
There are some. They gut the deer, and
I'm good. I'll eat it, but
it's disgusting.
I don't want to. You go, honey. That's fine. So I remember clearly standing on a log. The Holy Spirit met us on that log, and we both said, here we are, send us. Why not us? And God had knit our hearts together. We knew for a greater purpose than just to be married and have kids. Mm-hmm. That there was something about what he was putting together was pretty special.
And you had been on a missions trip before.
Yeah. He had never been out of the country.
So you had some clue of what that looked like.
Yeah.
But he had not been.
No, he had not. But God had so radically saved him and turned his heart around toward Jesus that he was sold out to do whatever God wanted to do in his life. And so we spent years, praying and talking and seeking the Lord. And so in 96, I'm trying to remember.
And how long had you been married?
3 years. So that's what I'm trying to remember. It was either 95 or 96.
Did you have children?
I'm gonna forget. No, not yet.
Okay,
no.
the twins.
And so I had taken a sabbatical from work. I was teaching at a small Christian school. I'd started a music program. So I'd taken a month sabbatical. And he at that time had quit his second job. He was working at a grocery store in town, but he had started a construction company. And so he could take time off. So we took a month and we went with his parents to India. They had been missionaries to India 6 months at a time.
They had been missionaries.
Yeah.
Are they still alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. So his dad's in his 80s, and so they live in Oklahoma, so we don't get to see them often. But so we had the opportunity to go. We took a teenage girl with us, a 13-year-old girl, and we all went. And we spent a month. We were on a Bible school campus, and I taught songs and Bible stories to the orphanage
where
kids.
in India?
We were just outside of Delhi in Gurgaon, a little tiny town.
Is that south or north?
It's northern India.
Because northern, is that where there's a poverty is at a high level, or is that south? There's a difference.
I think it would be north. Yeah, because more
southern India is more
little wealthier there because it's near the ocean, and so there's fishing, and it's more prolific, I think.
Yes.
So met our dear friend Pastor Mammon. Love you. Still friends with him today. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. We're always so inspired by him. And he was teaching on the campus at that time, and we just connected. There was just a moment where the Lord just knit our hearts together, and we knew that there would be opportunity in the future where we would minister together. And so it was an amazing month, and God did miracle after miracle and healed children of gorters on their sides of their face.
You saw that?
Yeah.
I mean, did they go away instantly, or was it a process?
There was this one. So we're in this
I love these stories.
Tiny little room, and it was probably 100 youth kids. We were doing a youth service in the evenings, and they were packed in there. And so Dan had finished preaching. I had sung a song, and they always want to be prayed for. So they were lined up, and Dan saw this boy like 4 or 5 kids back. He couldn't even smile. He was so swollen on both sides of his face. He just looked deformed. It was so bad. And we just prayed and believed in the name of Jesus that he was going to be healed. And it was one of those things where there were so many that you're just doing this, your eyes are
from
closed.
One to the other.
Yeah. And Dan hadn't opened his eyes, and he finally, after a few more after that, he opened his eyes again, and he kind of was looking around because he wanted to see the boy, and he sees him in the back of the room. The kid is smiling from ear to ear. They're just gone. And it was just awesome to see obedience and what happens with that. We just were obedient. We felt led to go. And God, there were so many stories. He showed up and showed us that just be obedient.
Yes,
just follow me.
That's all it takes.
It is. It's
Sometimes
all it takes.
It's hard.
It is hard.
Just to say, really? You want me to go to India?
Yeah.
That would be me. Probably not you.
And it was, I want to go back. I haven't been back. Dan had the privilege to go back in 2010, so we had already been here in Florida.
Okay.
And our friend Pastor Mama just wanted him to come, and he's like, "Please come." And so he spent a month over there. We missed him terribly, but again, God, moment after moment, and he remembers one night he was up literally all night, and the Lord gave him 7 sermons, and that has never happened before or since. And
in 2010.
In 2010.
When he went without you.
Mm-hmm.
7
sermons. And wrote them all out and typed them up on his computer, had them. And then I think it was a week later, they were going to Mumbai, previously Bombay. So it's now Mumbai.
Okay.
And Pastor Mammon has a relative there that was head over one of the churches that Pastor Mammon had started and was overseeing. And when they got there, he was sick in the bed, and they had planned to do this whole conference that whole week
together.
Yeah,
they were sharing ministry.
Yes,
okay.
And they were going to do this whole conference, and they had posters, and everybody was going to be coming from all over. And the guy was on his deathbed. He was just ill, and he translated through Pastor Mammon, and Pastor Mammon said, "Dan, you're preaching the conference." So there were the 7 sermons.
Is that
preparation?
Amazing?
Yeah,
yes.
Preparation. So
wow.
So it was an exhausting, mentally, physically, spiritually. It was an exhausting trip for him.
But such a rewarding.
Such rewards.
Oh.
Yeah. So we want to go back at some point, but
back to when you went with Dan's parents and
yes.
a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So then you were there a month.
So we spent time kind of all over. We ended up going into. Oh gosh, it's been so long, I can't remember. I think it was in Delhi. We spent some time at a hospital there. And the way hospitals are set up there, they have housing then for the nurses and doctors. They can kind of live right
on
there.
The property.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we stayed.
Okay.
Right there, and we had because there were some things I think that my in-laws were training the doctor. I don't even remember. It's been a long time.
No
but I
worries.
remember being there, and God just did a lot in our hearts.
Yes.
And just solidified.
And you wanted to go back.
Yeah.
So it was a wonderful experience.
It was. And
so you came back to the States.
Yes.
And then what happened?
So then when we moved to Florida, we knew coming to Florida, the Lord was so clear. Again, another miracle, another story.
We want to hear it.
I had a dream, and 2 weeks prior to this, the Lord spoke to Dan on the way to work. He was driving to work.
And you were still teaching in the school?
No. At this point, I had 4 kids, and I was home with them. I was homeschooling.
Okay.
And so I was a homeschool mom, and my husband had gotten a job at a lumber yard in town. It was a great job. It was the first time in our married life that we had health insurance,
benefits,
all the things.
Oh, benefits are wonderful.
So he had been there about 2.5 years, and on the way to work, the Lord clearly says to my husband, "Get ready, get moved, trust me."
Oh no.
And he goes, "Okay." And he sits on it for like 2 weeks because he didn't tell me.
Because you have security, you have insurance, all these
and
good
it was
things.
the job he really wanted.
He still does. He works with wood today.
We have a small construction company. Home maintenance.
So he liked wood then?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
So, and this was a great company to work for. And so we were very blessed. And it was like 15 minutes from our house. And so it was
so
just,
convenient.
so convenient. And
life was good.
Yeah. And it was actually around the corner from our church that we were going to. So at lunchtime, sometimes he would go over and have lunch with Pastor, and they would have conversations. So one particular day, he went over there. He said, Pastor, I need you to pray. He said, because he told the Lord, he said, okay, Lord, I'll do this. Because he knew in his heart it was Florida. Mm-hmm. God had already solidified that in his heart.
Had you guys had a conversation about moving?
Briefly. We had some friends who had moved here, and we felt like maybe, we should go and, see what God opens up. So he says to the Lord, okay, I'll do this. I need you to confirm it through my pastor and through my wife.
Okay.
So he has this meeting with Pastor, hasn't said anything to me yet. Or I think it's the other way around. Yes. So 2 weeks goes by. He's just talking to himself, to the Lord, and saying, okay, I need this to happen. This is huge. I've 4 kids.
Family.
I'm moving across country. What? So, I have a dream. And in this dream...
Oh, and he has not said anything to you.
No. And at this time, he was working like 2 Saturdays a month. The lumber yard was open, so they would like rotate and work like 1 or 2 Saturdays a month. So this was a Saturday morning. He had gotten up early to go to work. And so I'm stirring in the bed, and he realizes that I'm awake. And he turns around, he says, we're moving to Florida, right? I said, yeah, I had a dream last night.
No! Are you serious?
I could see the Penske truck.
Very, very calm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was no question in my mind that's what we were supposed to do.
I mean, when you woke up, did you think about it before were you thinking about it before he said anything?
Yeah, I was laying there going, wow, okay, all right.
And then he says what he says.
Yeah. So this was like February of 2008.
Okay.
So his plan, my husband's plan all along was like, okay, I'll work until like July because we were going to move in August.
Save some money, make preparation.
So then in April, on the way to work, the Lord says, tell your boss. It's time to tell your boss.
Had he talked to the pastor yet?
So yes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I forgot that part. So
I'm a detail person.
Yeah, no.
I
I think it was actually that next Sunday. A group of men would always go in and pray for Pastor before service started.
Okay.
So he had this meeting with Pastor and said, Pastor, I need you to just pray. We've got some big things. I'm not going to tell you. I just want you to pray.
Okay.
So a week went. Oh,
sorry.
A week went by. A week went by, and that Sunday, he walks into Pastor's office. He was the only one in there. He says, "Close the door." Pastor says, "I have no idea what you're doing, but you need to obey the Lord."
Seriously.
Yeah. And so then Dan began to tell him.
He didn't say, yes, I saw you moving to Florida.
No. So Dan began to tell him, we're moving to Florida. Okay. And we'd been in this church 8 years. We'd very involved worship team. He was men's ministry leader. And so it was a moment where we knew this is the Lord. This is preparation for what's coming. Because
so now when was this? What time?
2008. February. So you planned for June, like August.
And
so several months. So we were going to have yard sales. And that's another miracle. Like we have junk, but we made like thousands of dollars on our junk. Because we couldn't move.
What is the old adage? Your junk is another person's treasure.
We had a lot of treasure. So, 4 kids, you acquire a lot of stuff, and we had to get it into a truck. We're moving across country, so we had to pare down. So April comes, and the Lord says to my husband, you need to tell your boss. Because in the company there were cutbacks, and he knew that he was leaving, and so he knew it was only right that they should let him go, not somebody else, because they were making cutbacks. He's like, that's the only fair thing to do. But at the same time, he's kind of arguing with the Lord. Lord, really? Are you sure? I need to work until July. The Lord said, no, tell him now. And his boss was not a Christian, but he had seen Dan in business and how he carried himself, and it spoke volumes to me. He says, well, you got to do this, go.
Yes.
He's like, I'm sad to see you leave. He says, but you got to go.
How long had he been there? 2 years?
2.5 years,
okay.
yeah. So in June, the Lord had told Dan to come out here and view the land. So he flew out Father's Day weekend in June of that year. And we had a whole list of homes we were going to like look to rent, and the Lord miraculously provided one like Sunday, like he's leaving Monday. And so we had a home secured, paid rent for July, weren't here. And then we moved in the middle of August. So he gets off the plane, and his boss had left him a voicemail and says, "You need to call me." And so he had been at corporate and had a meeting, and they had to let him go. And he's like, "It's fine. I know." Because he knew, he'd already told him.
Yeah.
No, the Lord was preparing him, and we knew. And so the Lord, opened doors and provided. We had the money for the moving truck a month before. We had money for gas, and this was 2008. Gas was about what it is right now. It was nearly $4 a gallon, and we're have a moving truck and a van.
Yes.
It was the crash, housing crash.
And when was this, in June?
So
and your house wasn't available till August.
Yeah, so middle of August. So so we finished preparing back in Oregon, and then moved. Took 10 days, 600 miles a day. 4 kids.
10 days traveling.
Yeah. It was intense.
So along the way, did you just stay in a hotels?
We rented a couple different hotels, and it was our 15th wedding anniversary. So we stayed in the Grand Canyon on our anniversaries, which was so fun. Woke up that morning, and there's it's amazing. If you ever get to see the Grand Canyon, you should go. And then we had family in Texas, so we stayed a couple of days in Texas, did laundry, just kind of rested, which was wonderful. And then came all the way into Florida. I had one other hotel stop after that, and then got here like midnight. They were going to leave the keys for us, under a mat or something. I don't even remember how we got into the house, and the mattresses were like at the back of the truck. So we just pulled them out, threw them in the house, and went to bed. So but we moved here with no job, no prospects of a job, but the Lord sustained us.
Your friends were here though. You had some friends.
Yeah, we had some friends. That's another story of restoration. I probably don't have time for that one, but the Lord had done some things, and in their life, and there were difficulties they were walking through, and there was a time period of about 4 or 5 years where we didn't talk to them.
Gotcha.
We were living in the same town, and there was no communication. But
were they in church? They loved Jesus?
Yeah, they loved Jesus.
So we're talking two Christian couples that loved Jesus that had
they were
separation.
Yeah, separation. But the Lord beautifully restored our friendship, and we are friends today, and have watched their daughters get married, and it's just glorious. And so the Lord is faithful, and so you just have to continue to be obedient.
Yes. So you came, and you had to find a church.
Yeah.
So what was that process?
Yeah, that was, when Dan was here looking at houses, when he found the one we were going to rent, he'd seen a small little church. So he's like, okay, well, maybe we'll try there. So we were there for 5 years, and the Lord was good. And
so you didn't come right away to Family Worship Center.
No,
5 years.
5 years there.
And then we were another. And then what happened?
Then we were another 8 years at a different church, or maybe another 5. How long have we been here? 14. You have to add the numbers.
I don't. You came here in
to
2008, and
right.
it's 21 now.
So we started at Family Worship in 2017. So,
okay.
Yeah. So the Lord is good. So yes. But He's taught us things all along that you have to be rooted and grounded in the Word. There has to be that moment where you recognize nothing that goes on outside of your home or whatever, if it's not rooted and grounded in your home, in your heart, in your life, then stuff that goes on in church can really mess you up, mess your mind up. They're human too.
That, in my exact words. I mean, we're all imperfect. And we mess up. And because we interact with humans, Christians and non-Christians, there's opportunities for us to fail miserably, and we do. And we just pick ourselves up and ask for forgiveness.
Absolutely.
And put the next foot forward, and we just keep doing it, right?
And we did have opportunity. There was some hurt in that very first church, and years later, there was an opportunity. Dan had a conversation in Home Depot with the pastor, and there was restoration. I mean, so it's one of those things where you can't let that hurt dig that root of bitterness. You cannot. And we didn't. We walked and believed and knew, okay, God, you guide us to the next place, open a door, show us where you want us.
Give us the right opportunity.
Yeah, we had young kids. We wanted them to be fed properly and in sound teaching. And so we stood on the word, and we believed that this was the right path. And so same where we are now, we know. And it's amazing to watch our now adult children flourish and thrive. And they had gone through some of those church hurts, so to speak. And they talk about it. And it's like, we see now where we are now, how much it is rooted and grounded in the word, and the gospel is preached and shared, and
you can walk. You've
right.
been there, and you can walk them through that. Because I don't care where you are in life, how old you are, how young you are. You're going to face difficult situations, and the hurt is going to come. And what are you going to do with the hurt?
Absolutely.
I remember I'm a preacher's kid, and so I mean there were so many opportunities, and there were so many hurts because people can be ugly, people can be mean, and I look back and I've had to forgive members in our churches because they just treated my daddy bad, and he was affected from previous hurts, and he was a World War II veteran, and there was just a lot of pain and a lot of hurts, and I see that he carried those even throughout ministry, but fast forward, I was involved in ministry for 18 years as a worship leader, and I'm sure there were people that I hurt, and I was definitely hurt, and I know just in the last few years a situation occurred, and I asked the Lord. I went through a process, and I spent a couple of days just going through, walking out people's names that I think I could have hurt, or they hurt me, and I was in my home, and I went through the whole forgiveness. I repented, and I asked the Lord to forgive me, and I even to the point of I asked the Lord to give me an opportunity in a particular situation with a pastor and his wife that I love dearly, and we're still friends this day. And there was a hurtful situation, and I said, I just need to have a conversation with them and ask for forgiveness. And it worked out beautifully. We met, we had lunch, I cried, and there was a lot of forgiveness that went through. I'm going to cry.
That's amazing.
Did I hit that again? My foot keeps hitting the camera. Sorry, but yes, and you have to do that, but you have to be willing to submit and say, I was wrong, and I'm sorry for the hurt. I'm sorry for the pain that I caused, and it was a beautiful time, and just we're friends now. That's amazing. So God is faithful.
He is.
If you open up and ask Him, just walk. Give the opportunity. And some people you can't reconnect with because they've moved and you're no longer in a relationship with. But He's faithful. I just got off on that. Sorry.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, He's so good.
He is so good, and that's His whole reason for coming to earth. Is to restore the relationship between us and Him. And so why wouldn't He want to restore relationships between each other?
Yes.
And so,
And another little side note, there was another situation with the person was in leadership, not a pastor, but wow, a hurtful situation went on for several years. And I just consistently had to lay it down. Now, I didn't have the relationship with him that I could sit down and say, I didn't hurt him, he hurt me, but I didn't have an opportunity to sit down and have a discussion. But I had to let it go and forgive him to the point where I was able to walk in forgiveness and pray for him for he was going through some difficult situations,
awesome.
and just pray for him and for his walk. And but so God is so good.
He is. He graces us with that. You
Yes.
know, even back to my dad.
Perfect.
God graced me with the ability to then pray for him and see my dad the way Christ saw him.
Yes.
You know, and to weep for him and to pray for him, and that can only come when you've let your hurt go.
Oh,
and
and we
forgiven.
don't know why people react to us, because clearly there is something in their past that has formed them to cause them to be who they are. And hurt people.
That's right.
You know, so I don't want to be that person. You don't either, right?
No. I want to make good
Okay,
choices.
so let's talk a little bit about how you the door opened for you to go to El
so
Salvador.
again, we moved to Florida with the unction and the leading of the Holy Spirit, but wanting to be in ministry. So this has been 12 years, you know, and nothing's really happened. And
so where are you, God? What are we doing
the
here?
The previous church that before coming to family worship, there was a sweet man, Bill Wilson, who's now in heaven. And he approached my husband and I, and he was taking a team to El Salvador, and he wanted us to go and be kind of chaperones, because there were going to be some young people, not young, but college age people. And he wanted, you know, us to kind of herd them along. You know, he didn't want to be responsible for them. He wanted them. So we're like, he's like, we could do that. It's like, can we bring our sons? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Because they were either just turning 18, or he said, but even if they're 17, you're going to be there. It's fine. Just, you know. So that was the first time our twins got to go. And it was a week long. It was a work trip. We painted the homes at the orphanage where we've been many, many times. And we worked hard. It was a great trip, and it was very rewarding. And God did something in our hearts there then. And then the next year, every year after that, so this was 2016 when we went.
8 years after you were here.
Was the first time we went. And that next year, we felt like we were supposed to go for 5 weeks. We didn't know why. We just wanted to go and serve.
So what does that look like as far as in the natural side? You don't have a job.
Well, so at this time in 2009,
a year after you came to Florida,
we started a small construction company. We looked into
so you had some income.
And so but
you got children, and you've got rent, and you got to eat.
The Lord provided, though. I mean, people in Florida, they leave things on the side of the road. That was new to us. Good things. So we would resell them. Yes. The first year we were here, that's what we did. We would drive around, and people were leaving like perfectly good items, or Dan would go on the internet and see somebody was selling something that he knew he could get double for it.
Really?
So that's what we did.
And you would like buy and sell? Sell?
Yeah. So the Lord is good. The Lord is good.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Okay.
So, then in 2009, he felt compelled, and he's like, okay, because he looked into getting a job. But in his heart of hearts, he's like, I can't be tied and committed to somebody else and then feel free to go on the mission field when God says go. So this is a way for us to be able to do that we set our own schedule, do our own thing, and the Lord has been faithful.
Have food on your table, and have
those kids
running water and electricity is so important.
It's a thing. Yeah, it is. So the Lord was faithful, and we barely advertised, but ran that business so this was 2009, for 10 years. Because in 2019, we had at that time then been blessed with a home. And so we were going to be selling that home, because this was then our third. So I have to fast forward. There's a lot here. This might be part 3. I don't know. No. But we, in 2017, went back to El Salvador with our younger 2 children for 5 weeks. We just committed to just going.
The twins stayed
here. They were in a internship program, and were living there and going to that. And so we went for 5 weeks. And it was always around the same time. We always went either March or April. That was a good time of year for El Salvador. It was, a good time of year for us. There wasn't a lot of business then. So we, that first weekend, we were at there's a retreat center where we usually stay when we go.
With the two littles.
Uh-huh.
And how old were they at that time?
So they were...
Were they teens?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because 18 and...
Okay, it's okay.
15, 16, something like that. So we... there's this beautiful courtyard that my husband, he was out walking, and you can see on a clear day when there's not smoke from the burning fields, when they're burning the
Are we harvesting?
Sugarcane.
So they're harvesting.
Yeah, they're harvesting, and then they burn the fields to burn them down. And so if it's a clear day, you can see all the way to the Pacific Ocean. It's beautiful. It's just gorgeous.
Wow. Okay.
So he's out there, and the Lord says, this is the place and this is the time. And he tells that to me, and
in 2019?
No, this is 2017. And we're like, okay. So we sit down with our dear friend, Janice, who runs Abigail Association there. And she's been there now going on 12 years.
Abigail Association?
So that's the name of it.
My oldest granddaughter's name is Abigail.
Nice.
Oh, so what do they do?
So, oh my gosh. Medical ministry, mobile medical ministry now. They were given a truck so they can go out into the up in the mountains where people can't get down into the city, so they can go to them and take the medical.
Yes. Okay.
Joyce Meyer with Hand of Hope has thoroughly blessed them and pays for the doctors and the medicines, and they're able to treat patients for just heart conditions, blood pressure, and just medicines.
Dental work.
Dental and all that. Then there's feeding programs where there's opportunity to help children and elderly, and Bible schools. I mean, just the Lord is blowing things up.
So can we just stop for a second?
Yes.
So we're going to take... So there's so much more.
So much.
So if we go a part 3, there's more that we can... Okay.
Yes. There might be.
So we're just going to stop because I don't want to rush it, and we've exceeded the time frame that you guys, your brain can only hold so much. So I don't want to rush through the next part.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wow, this is really so good.
Yeah.
If you got anything from this, just know that there's forgiveness, and we all can walk in forgiveness and forgive others. Yeah. And really, forgiveness is for us as much or more than for the other person. Because it clears the channel. Yeah. It makes everything. It's like a level playing ground. You can start fresh, and it gives God the opportunity to really work in your life.
Absolutely.
And I'm speaking from experience here. It just makes everything fresh and new.
Yeah.
To walk in forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So bless you guys. Thank you for being here. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Do you want to say anything before we say goodbye?
Stay tuned for part 3. It's good. The Lord only gets better, as our dear friend says.
Bless you guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.